Okay, awesome. So Vincent here again. So I think episode 22 now, this one. So I think the last one we did was episode 13 a few months back. So yeah, great to obviously do this podcast with you again. So yeah, we covered a lot last time, very in depth. It's like nearly 2 hours. But first of all, how are you doing? How are things?
Very well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Vincent, CEO of Centaville, an incredible organization, structure. And I said the keyword structure because that's something we definitely want to cover today. And I think since meeting you, so obviously I think I said this in the last podcast, I first met you, it's like end of 2023. Had a lot of interesting conversations for sure, learned a lot from you. And I think it's just two words that keep coming up is value and structure. And I do think about value a lot. I like to refer to it, people I know now, as the V word, because I think it's for sure it's relevant for all remits of life. I think it's coming up a lot more. It's coming a lot more prevalent. But yeah, just for yourself, I think we're definitely going to look about these two words in a lot more deeper perspective. But like, first of all, like value, like what would you say? How would you define it? Like what would you say it is? And also, like how do you heighten it, and how do you identify it and extract it as well?
Well, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
And um, I'll just go straight to the point from your question you just asked me. So value, I would say it's the principles and characteristics that define what is within us.
Mm.
So it's more about the things that's happening inside of us and how that's shaped or how it's created or what determines it. So it's not something you can really see. It's just something that is happening inside us, invisible of us. So how value come about really could be from when we are born. The first people that shape our values are our parents. But the question now is, what value
Mm.
are they, or what structure are they, or so it's all now goes back to, that's why you hear words like we're descendants of these ancestors and all of that. So it's like value is that intrinsic thing inside of us that passes down to who we are.
Mm.
But then the main question is, are we actually conscious of this value, and yeah.
Mm. Do you think it relates? Then in scriptures, the parable of the talents,
Yeah.
and I think there's three people, aren't there? One gets given 10 talents, one five, one person gets given one. The person who gets given one, they bury theirs,
Uh-huh.
and the other two go out and multiply them. Do you think that is in a sense like God, the value God gives us, or do you think the value that we have correlates to the talents? Like we can choose to multiply that, to use that to serve others, or we can just make it redundant. Do you think there's like any sort of relation there?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at for each individual that we come across in our life, there's a story behind them. And for the one that had the 10 talents, he did what he had to do, what he believed he had to do.
Mm.
Same with the one with the five. But with the one is quite interesting, because if, for example, there was a way we could actually sit him down like we are doing right now to say, why did you really do what you did? Then we may be able to understand his own concept of value, or maybe, the king gave me one talent. This is for example, or he gave me one talent. I couldn't really think of what to do with it, but you know what? I just felt like, let me bury it,
Mm.
and so that I don't spend it. So
Mm.
that when the king comes back, I will like, hey, look, the money you gave to me, here it is back, and maybe the king will be happy to say, oh, I didn't, waste it or something. So this is just one of multiple reasons to why he may have acted that way.
Mm. I think it's like a bit of fear there,
Yeah.
fear of loss.
Yeah. It's more about trying to really zoom in to individuals, really,
Yeah,
to the
it's
core of who they are.
yeah, it's like if you fear you're gonna lose something, it's like you're more likely to lose it. It's like anxiety is fear
Yeah.
that you'll lose something.
Yeah.
Whereas it's actually like if you're does Jesus say something like if you willing to hold those who want to save their life will lose it.
Yeah,
Those who are willing to lose their life for my sake
I
will
said it.
find it.
Hmm.
So, with using your value, what impact do you think it has on society, and what how does it link to entrepreneurship, and how does it sort of link to risk as well and courage? Because it just seems that they're all sort of fit together quite tightly.
You know, when we talk about value, because we're talking about something that's internal, something that's abstract, it's quite very difficult to actually put a word to it. I mean, on a general perspective, I would say in a positive moral grounding, people would say my value is God, you know. But then I would still say that's also abstract because when you're saying God is my value, like how can you really break that down?
Mm,
It's like saying I am the modern times we hear people like, I am the universe or the universe is in me. Yeah, that makes sense. But
mm,
how can you really,
yeah.
you know, break this down to make it make sense?
Mm,
But yes, so I would say value it goes deeper than just, it's an abstract.
mm,
But what really makes value to make sense is how we are able to bring it out from inside ourselves
mm,
to then come outside.
mm,
So like they say, an individual cannot define himself in isolation,
mm,
you know.
mhm,
But when you put that same individual in a group of people, then he can define himself. And what defines him is not really what he says about himself,
mm.
but it's about what the other says about him. Oh, he's a good man. Oh, he's kind. Oh, he's caring. Oh,
Yeah.
he's forgiving, you know. So so when we now talk about value,
Mm,
I could say, oh, my value is whatever, but how can I prove it in this room
mm,
when it's just me and you?
mm. If it's not necessarily tangible,
Yeah,
but the fruits of it can be,
yeah.
would you say, like, how it's not tangible, that could be an argument against atheism and those who believe that just the material realm exists? So I've been thinking about it in a sense. I think it can do, because like, um, I like value. It exists. You can't necessarily touch it. So therefore, that's a quick argument to say that more than the material realm exists. Do you know what I mean by that?
Uh-huh,
So, but yeah, to your point though about how like isolation, and it's like in the scriptures, iron sharpens iron.
uh-huh,
It's just someone out there, like someone might be watching this and just thinking, yeah, like I want good people around me. And I think this was probably lead on to structure in a sense. It's like sort of teasing it. But yeah, what would you say the easiest and the best way is for someone to like find their people? Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
uh-huh.
do you think it just God leads you? Like, how do you think it sort of happens? Like, people who want to find their people to strengthen, to sort of identify their value and sort of use it and share it and serve others in society.
Well, when we meet others in our life, it's a thing of where, first of all, where are they going with their life? Say there's instances in my life where at some point I had certain amount of people in my life, and at that time, those were the kind of people I wanted
Mm,
because at that time that was my value, or would I say value, or that was what I felt was the best thing or how to live. So these people really aligned with who I was at the
mm,
time, you know. But as time goes on, as things happened within me, you understand, things happened by, shaped who I was, and then I started saying that the crowd that I had around me at that time were not the people that would be suitable for me to where I was going. So I need people would uh, uh, that would contribute meaningfully to my life,
mm,
that would take me forward. So what was in that note, what was I really looking for? I was looking for somebody who is also maybe have been through what I've been through, then they could really understand where I'm coming from. And
mm,
then it's like, what do you want to do with your life? I said, oh, they tell me what they want to do. Oh, and it actually aligned with what I want to do. Okay,
Mm,
iron sharpen iron. Let's go together,
mm,
you know? So, but then, uh, going together is not the value. It's not, I mean, it's like inward journey, outward experience.
mm,
So it now becomes what we anchor as our value. How deep is it? Because the deeper you go, the more it changes your outward, perceptions.
mm,
So the person you choose to say, "Oh, I want to journey my life," at some point something happens, and you're like, "Oh, this person's not good for me again," and you move on to the next person. So it now happens to. It's now the question now is, what really is the how do we really um, define what value really is, and is there any such thing like maybe good value or bad value? It's a very abstract thing. It's like talking about,
mm,
so it's very difficult to put a meaning. The only time value can have a meaning is when maybe something else, maybe like the outward experience is being talked about, maybe like the essence of structure or
mm,
institutions or this that we cannot say, oh
mm,
yeah,
mm. Yeah, do you want to go a little bit, explore a bit more about the inward journey and the outward experience? Do you mean that's like, and I think it's quite cool what you said about, it seems that you if you have an aim and a direction, somewhere you want to be,
yeah,
you naturally meet others who are striving towards that as well. Like something I remember I first met you, I think something that I thought was quite appealing and sort of resonated with it when you sort of referred to, I think, like dimensions of reality. Like not many other people seem to understand that there are different dimensions and sort of having the desire and the will to level up.
mhm,
And it's like there's no limits to that. But yeah, but so in terms, so would you say it's more of just about finding those people? And also, it's what's interesting. I think you mentioned about people who've had similar experiences to yourself.
mhm.
So would you say when that is in regards to suffering or just challenges or just things you've done? And would you say that the suffering sort of has sharpened you? And without any suffering, you wouldn't be who you were today in a virtuous sense. Like, would you say it makes you more virtuous as well? Like just a stronger person? I know there's a lot there, but
Yeah,
if you want to go high, you've
yeah,
got to go deep. So
yeah. That's a tough one. So
yeah.
of course, it's not necessarily someone that have been through what have been through, but there's certain kind of life that you'll find yourself in that does not come without suffering, you know,
Mm,
because suffering in its own sense comes with a gift. And sometimes there's something in my tribe. They say the elders say, um, if the young person, what the young person can see, the old man sitting down will see further.
mm,
You know, so a young person standing on the mountain, what he sees, the old man just sitting on his chair can see further. You know, so it talks
mm,
about like, experience of life and, certain things that we go through that transforms us to something.
mm,
So in what you said about the deeper you go, the more you align with people who are in going in the similar direction as you. Well, that is true.
mm,
And for now, when I'm dealing with people, I'm having interaction with individuals, it's not just about what they are telling me that I'm looking at. It's about where they are going with themselves.
mm,
So the suffering kind of made me think differently on how I see the life outside of me.
mm. Yeah.
So it's definitely a different approach on how
Mm,
than someone who hasn't really walked on those
mm.
tough shoes to really see the life.
Yeah. And speaking of suffering, I mean, I somewhat, I don't know if study is the right word, but I've thought about it a lot. And especially thinking about the Beatitudes, I for sure think overall it can be a blessing because the suffering and the adversarial nature of life, I think, can give you the opportunity for the best to be brought forth out of you.
Of course.
So it's like there's that saying, isn't there? Pressure's a privilege. It's pretty cliche, but I think it's true. It's like usually the more high pressure situation, more challenging, demanding, it gives the opportunity for the best to
to come off me.
come out from you.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it can be a blessing. So with that being said, and before we sort of move on to structure, how would you say, if you could summarize it as best you possibly could, how would you summarize how value and suffering are linked, and like, are they linked, and do they sort of go hand in hand in some sense?
Um, I mean, suffering plays a role in shaping our value.
Mm,
But then you cannot really see it by just sitting in isolation. You can only see it by how you interact with the things around
mm,
you. Like you talk about structure, for example. What a structure is more like the institutions, relationships, um, just communities, where, in a gathering of humans and society as a whole.
mm,
So it's in our interaction with this um, external entity,
mm,
which manifests what is inside of us,
mm.
that can actually now define what value
Yeah,
really is.
yeah. Mm. And so looking into structure, um, I think when it comes to you, I don't want to sound like I'm flattering, 'cause I want to be real, but I do think you are sort of a master of it, a specialist in it in some regard. Like you very know exactly what your structure is, what it's about, building it. So I think in a moment we could look about how to build a structure in a sense. Um, but I do believe you probably agree with this, or maybe you do. There is an art to it, an art to building a structure for sure. But just generally, what would you say a structure is? Because for sure, because I think since meeting you, what I have noticed, you notice that in most remits of life, pretty much everywhere is just structures. Like a business is just a structure, a family, you can say it's a structure, the church as well, you've got the Pope.
Yeah,
If you don't have a structure, then you just got, like, if you don't have a structure, it's just like a house with just bricks everywhere. It's like
yeah,
you've got the pieces, but you don't have the house.
yeah,
So yeah, what in sort of societal terms, and structure you can't necessarily touch and or see,
yeah.
but you can sort of see the fruits of it. But yeah, what would you say a structure is, if you could just sum it up, and how it links to value, and we could go from there.
Well, I'll say structure is is the external is external.
Yeah.
Unlike value, value is internal. But they are separate from each other. But what gives meaning to both of them is
Mm.
when they interact with each other.
Mm.
You know, yeah. So um, once you bring your value to structures, then your value will either improve the structure or and destroy the structure. However, if you look at if you put structure and you remove value,
Mm.
it's going to be empty, it's soulless,
Yes.
you know. But if you remove value and then put structure and then you put value, it's just going to be more like internal ideas, just ideas,
Mm.
but there is no substance. But when you mix them
Mm.
together, the value flows into the structure.
Mm.
And then that's where actually society is born.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's like, can you have one without the other? And would you say that, like, Protestantism, that's focusing more on the value, less on the structure, and there was this sort of church analogy, and then I know if you're part of the church, but then you, like, if you're a Catholic, but then you still have a heart of stone, is that like the structure without the value? I don't know, but what do you think you can have one without the other, basically?
I
To what
don't
extent?
I don't think you can necessarily have one independent of the other. They have to
Mm,
be together. Okay, say for example, like Christianity as a whole, we all believe in one thing, you
mm,
know, Jesus is God,
yeah,
you know, that's just the bit, that's it. And then believe in the Holy Spirit, you know, that lives in all those who believes in Jesus. That's what all Christianity holds. But why are they over 45,000 denominations?
yeah.
So that's where we now talk about value and structure. So the way I say it, it may not be correct, but we now have multiple structures on one value. And these multiple structures, sometimes they do not agree with each other
Mm-hmm.
because they say the narrative is much more different from the others. However, um, it's the value that forms all of this is it's quite tricky. I'm just trying to look for a very meaningful way to say. So it's like being part of a structure
Mm.
without having a value. Say, for example, what's happening in society today. What we have that we have more of participants of a structure. So when you are a participant of a structure, you don't really, and there's no value to it. You, that's why you can have people like, oh, I'm pro-life, but I support abortion,
Mm.
or I'm against abortion, but I support death penalty. You
Yeah.
see, so all of these things now, so and then you now have different category for each persons with
Mm.
different kind of so it's more, so what is shaping their value is not the journey from within. It's more like them just being masters of the structure that they've accepted.
Mm. Okay, yeah, so maybe that the priorities are wrong.
Yeah,
It's basically it's not true, it's not real in a sense.
it's more about adopting a structure that feels more appealing to their own emotions and
Ah,
feelings.
yes, yes, so it's like a feather in the wind.
Yeah,
It can just depending on the culture, the time, it just changes, and there isn't that anchoring consistency.
yeah,
And if there isn't the consistency over time, it won't stand.
exactly.
It won't last. Yeah, so in terms of moral value and structure, so what is the moral value and structure that you think have the most impact on humanity across the planet? Pretty deep question. Pretty deep one.
I'm surprised. Well,
Yeah. So yeah, what is the moral value and
uh-huh,
structure that you think, and I think perhaps this could link to what you're building and what you're looking at building. So what maybe I could reframe that. Yeah. So the value and structure that you think 2025, so it's October right now,
yeah.
that you think will have the most impact on the planet. Um yeah. So
Okay, that's a quite interesting question. Let me use myself for an example. Like what I talked about earlier on, like when we first come into this world, what shapes our value first is our parents,
hmm,
our teachers, and all of that. And as we grow, it's now we're left with two choice. It's either we want to perfect on the structure that has been passed down to us, believing that is all that it is, or we want to also go deeper to seek. And seeking is, who am I? Why am I here? You know, fading all of the structures that you were born with, born to
mm,
believe and everything. Then once you start that journey, and this journey is not something that just comes to you because no structure is out there to tell you to find who you are.
yeah.
Rather, every structure is out there for you to enforce it, to make it more broader,
Hmm,
to make it, yeah. So that's when you start going on that inward journey. Who am I? What happened is that everything around you fades. It's like you're starting all over again. So for me, um I would say that my value, first of all, first of all, my value comes from God. But
hmm.
I said that is abstract. How do I make this really simple? That's where my faith in comes in, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Why I say is Jesus Christ is my value, because that is the I would say map, the roadmap
Mm,
to actually, for me to follow,
yeah.
to make that God consciousness, that God that understanding of God to be in me. Because if I say my
Mm,
value is God, what do I look at to say, okay, Jesus Christ? Why? Because of his life
mm,
and what he did here.
yeah.
You know, I mean, you cannot tell me of a greater man that, came the way he came through a virgin birth. and what he did with his life, even gave life. That is, I mean, and then um, he died, conquered death. I
Mm.
mean, there's a lot of story. I'm just breaking it down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Conquered death, and then he rose up
Mm,
and he ascended.
mm.
So he's still alive.
Yes, yes.
Do you understand?
He's
And
risen.
that particular person created a structure. You understand? So and
The
and
church.
and and like I said, value. If Jesus Christ is my value, the structure is what actually manifests value.
Mm,
So when he told Peter upon that I will build my church through you, when you start asking yourself these questions, okay, fine, I believe in Jesus Christ. When you're born to different, familiar structures that tells
yes.
you about Jesus Christ and all that. So it's that one thing. It's up to you to enhance that structure to say, oh, I'm part of this whatever ministry and
Mm,
whatever. It's another thing to you to ask the question, okay, what is this structure that was born from this great man?
yes.
Just start finding that, investigating. That's what I did. I mean, there was a point in time in my life where so many years ago when my friends are going to church, I'll be like, you're a fool. Why are you going to church? Why do you
Mm,
believe? I was that phase and I came back to this phase again.
yeah.
So, so, so when you look at it in that note, then it now makes me look at the church from a different side, and that was
Mm,
now became the beginning of the values that I
mm.
have right now.
It's like you gotta want it. You've gotta. It's like you're born into this world told what to believe,
Yeah,
in a sense, by those around you. You don't choose. Your parents don't choose. You don't choose in a lot. You don't really choose who you are. I think
yeah,
God chooses
yeah,
you, and it's like you've got to want it though.
yeah,
And one of the Beatitudes, I think it's like, blessed are those who hunger, for
yeah.
they shall be
Should be
satisfied.
satisfied.
It's like if you're hungry for the truth,
Yeah,
seeking you will find, not seeking you might find.
yeah,
You will find it. And I think there's a lot to be said about the journey, willingly going on the journey. It's like when you climb a mountain, the higher you climb, the more you can see. The higher you climb, usually the less people there are, because the more people like give up, or just a lot of people at the bottom, aren't they? Can't be bothered.
yeah,
You get some people who go a little bit high, turn back. Then you get those who are at the top. You can sort of build a community with those around you,
yeah.
sort of on the same level. And yeah, Jesus Christ he's the way, the truth, and life. And yeah, I think I loved what you said last podcast I did about you, how he's like your ultimate role model. And I think that, can you love Jesus and not love his church, his structure that he's built? I'm not sure you can, because if you think about it, his church is his body. So if he rejects his church, are you therefore rejecting his body? And are they feel rejecting Jesus? So it's like people might say, oh, I love Jesus, but I don't like the church. Yeah, I don't think you can have one without the other. And yeah, his life was absolutely perfect, wasn't it? So, and what's incredible is that I think he only began his ministry like 30. So very quiet and humble, very humble. He he had earthly parents who he honored. He didn't, even though he's God, he didn't rebel against them. I think I say this a lot, but I think his crucifixion, I think that the crucifixion has all the answers to life, doesn't it? Like voluntarily suffering for others, self-sacrifice. And what, he's like betrayed him into the night, wasn't he? One of his closest friends. Um, and then what is, I think all the other disciples, apart from maybe John, just deserted him. Peter denied him 3 times. Not only was he completely innocent, all he did was help people. That's literally all he did. Just help people. Then it's in front of a lot of people. So you got you got psychological, spiritual, physical suffering. And any point he could have just said, no, I don't want to do this anymore. He didn't have to. Like, God doesn't need us, but he wants us. And then like crucifixion at the time, it's the most painful death the Romans could think of, wasn't it? Because it's like dehydration, suffocation, exposure to the sun. It was prolonged. And yeah, at any point he could have just said no, but if you're the only person in the world who needs to do that for, he would have done it just for you. And it's like, it's just so beautiful. It knows the numbers of hairs on our heads,
Yeah,
knows exactly who we are. And I think I think it's funny because I think with Jesus, I sort of maybe just saw him as a more of a distant figure, and it was only till, like, just before I met you, 2023 was a big year for me. I was in Malta, and it was only so I saw a crucifix there that sort of just hit me. It's like, wow, like, Jesus knows exactly who I am. And one of my favorite verses is Ezekiel 36:26.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically about, the heart of stone being turned into a heart of flesh.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And I think the verse after says about, like, something about the Spirit will direct you.
Yeah.
But I feel like that, and yeah, I know when you're baptized, you become one of part of God's chosen people. But I think for me, that was my moment. I think everyone might have that moment. It's like there's this moment where your heart of stone becomes a heart of flesh. You're awakened.
Yeah.
You understand. You, like, you become hungry. Every day therefore has a purpose because God is infinite. No matter how close you think you are to God, you can always get closer,
Yeah.
which is incredible. So it's got purpose. But it's like that moment, like, wow, and it's like then you can then other people come along for the journey with you. But I don't know if you ever want to go into this. 'Cause I know we sort of touch more focused on value and structure. But for you, was it like 2023 as well for you? Was it like January 23?
Yeah.
You had that moment. Was it just like this is it?
You see, like um I've known Jesus all my life,
Mm,
but I only knew him based on the structure given to me by my family,
yeah.
the foundation I came from. But I knew him for myself after my own suffering, and that was around that January, in fact, from January 2020, no, August 2020 to be specific.
Mm,
But then I got, it was more like a deeper question of who really Jesus really was to me.
yeah.
And the more I kept digging on that, the more I saw myself like journeying deeply within myself, and then it made me see the world much more differently,
Mm,
you know. So it's like it's like I mean, we come from a foundation whereby, oh, God is everything, God has to be put first. But there was not really definition of what, we can only say as God. But when you now see that God actually made himself
mm,
so small, and
yeah.
so small that inside the person of Jesus. So you want to see God, you want to know God, there he is in Jesus.
Mm,
So then just now understanding his life, understanding what he did, understanding his words, and then understanding the church. Because people, I mean, the popular argument about it is that the reason why there are multiple Christian domination is that they say the church have lost its way
mm,
and all of those things and all that. Fair points, you know. But one thing we need to understand is that structure without value cannot work. You
yeah.
understand? It just becomes something without a soul. So for we who have now understand uh, uh, the real the value, understand God and everything, and then understand the structure which He left for us. To really show how much we really love this God we're talking about is actually to bring that value to His structure,
Mm, yeah.
you know. And by bringing that value to the structure, what happens is that because when you're journeying within yourself, you can't really measure it. But when you journey yourself within the church,
Mm,
then it 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 sets up new layers, new foundation in
mm,
such a way whereby you now see the world from a very good perspective. Say for example, if you ask me how I see the world, like this earth has been like we humans, our existence here is just in a timeline between say 0 to maybe 120 years.
mm.
And that's all.
Max.
That's all. That's the
Yeah.
whole experience that we have here. So we're probably literally just dreaming because the only thing that's going to remain here is our body. But the thing within us
A soul.
it's not going to be here. So we're just
Mm,
in a very temporary frame of 1 to 120 years. And then it may look big, but then when you look at how old the earth is, we still have things that trace back to four billions of years ago. You're talking about earth that have been here for billions of years. So 120 years is just nothing.
Mm.
So then you then understand that, okay, in this dream world, this dreamland we find ourselves, we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not to grab so much that is in here. Rather, it's for us to remain in that value, that organic value that comes from the person who puts us here
Mm.
or the person who is conscious of us,
Yes.
you know?
Mm.
So live our life based on the consciousness of who is aware about us and why we are here. Because the only way we can remain on that is by making sure that we're always awake to the world beyond this place.
Yes. Mm.
Do you understand? So if when we're always awake to the world beyond this place, then somehow the way you interact with the structures and the things of the world here and all that is going to be different than someone who doesn't really see it that way.
Yeah.
It's just going to want to absorb everything of the world. And when you're absorbing everything in this temporary realm, what happens is that you're taking yourself further away
That's it.
from the core. Also, look at it this way. I was thinking about this sometime. Like when we still talking about value, you hold a balloon. You blow so much air
Yeah.
inside. You blow and blow and blow. So just think about it. You're putting so much value and your value, but what happens is it pops
Yeah.
after it cannot take so much. But for when the value is so much in us, say, let me look, and we're humans, we don't pop. But what happens is that we kind of look for a way to let it out,
Mm.
because you cannot keep it all in here.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh, I've been called to ministry.
Mm.
You're letting it out.
Yeah.
You're letting out those value, those pocket of value. And then oftentimes you see yourself creating something new,
Mm.
and some people maybe become a new church. Like that's why we have over 45,000 disclosed
Yeah.
denomination. That's the stage they get to.
Yeah.
But what really is the best approach? The best approach is not really to just let it out in that way.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that you are letting it out from stress, from a lot of other things that you're not thinking about.
Yes.
But what is the best approach really? The best approach is take off all the air you have in that balloon,
Mm.
and then bring in a new air.
Mm.
Imagine when you put helium in balloon, what happens?
Yeah, it rises even higher.
When you put the helium inside it, the balloon becomes very light and it ascends and it becomes free. It's
Yeah.
able to navigate through whatever storm and it just keep going,
Mhm.
So the process of actually letting out that clog of things that is already inside of us and all of that, and then making something new to come up for us to see the world in a different. That's what we call the Holy Spirit.
Mm.
You understand? That new spirit to come in, and that new spirit cannot come in. It's like putting, mixing new wine with old wine, or putting new wine in an old wine sack.
Mm.
You need to
Yes.
take
Yeah.
off, bring out the sack, wash it, clean, make it clean, then put new wine. So you can't mix them up. So this is the contradictions that a lot of there's really happening. What I see happening in the world
Mm.
today, and for me, there was a point where I would say I was so upset about how the world was. I didn't have anyone to vent to. I
Yeah.
vent on social media. I come outside. Every time I speak to people, go on debate, I'm venting. Oh, look what this word. But it got to a point I broke down.
Mm. Yeah.
It was then the new, and I had nowhere to go anymore, and I was really suffering. It was then I then came back into the church,
Mm.
and then I found a way to let out everything that's in here, to now bring a new spirit, to now give me a new side.
Mm.
All of the problems that made me break down, they are still there,
Mm.
but now I see them differently.
Yes. Yes. You sort of see it as I know, it can be an opportunity.
Yeah.
Can be an
It's now
opportunity.
even a massive opportunity now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like chaos and opportunity are linked, and it's opportunity to build as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, to build. But it's interesting. I think what you said, was it like August, was 2020? You're saying sort of awakened,
Yes.
and it's kind of like, I was thinking about this. Paul, the Apostle Paul. It's like, I think when Ananias came and prayed over him,
Mm-hmm.
scales fell from his eyes,
Yeah.
and it's like he might have been blinded for 3 days,
Yeah.
and it's like as if he died, like he's dead those 3 days, and his scales fell, and he went on his mission.
Yeah.
So I think we all need, like, you encounter Jesus as well.
Step one.
You encounter Jesus,
Yeah.
die to yourself,
Yeah.
and then it's like you can go on to the mission. It's like one of my favorite Bible verses. What I absolutely love this Bible verse, Isaiah 6:8. I think it's like something like God says, like, "Whom shall I send?" And it's one's like, "Send me. Here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am. Hanani, Hanani." It's like just opening yourself up, humble, and like God works with littleness. Like David killed Goliath.
Yeah.
Mary gave birth to the Savior of the world. I think she's like a teenager at the time, very
Yeah.
vulnerable, physically probably not the strongest, evidently. But she's like, okay, she's just like, Hanani, I think Moses the burning bush,
Hmm.
Hanani, here I am, Lord send me. And it's like that heart of stone can be turned to a heart of flesh.
Yeah.
You can accept God's spirit, the advocate, the helper. And it's like, if you have faith as small as what? A seed of, if you've got a mustard seed,
Yeah.
say to this mulberry tree, be there I moved and planted it. I think it's like, it's Luke 17:6. I think the disciples were 5 to 6. Disciples are asking, strengthen our faith. And Jesus like, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, I think, you say to this mulberry tree, be it planted and be uprooted and planted in the sea. It's like, how many of us actually believe that? Because it's like God's word says that's true. And it's like, do we actually believe that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you just need like a little bit of a little bit, not much faith at all. So, but yeah. So what I was thinking was, I think there's a few minutes left. We've got a few minutes left, but talk about structure. I had an interesting conversation to you. Probably know what's coming up. Is early September or nearly mid-September. He's been on my mind a lot. I think it's interesting. This person's been on my mind a lot, and I go on social media. He's been on other people's as well. I sometimes have off the cuff conversation. Like the other day, I had a off the cuff conversation with someone. She was like, "Yeah, I've been thinking about him a lot as well." Charlie Kirk. Yeah, Charlie Kirk. I think he does link to this as well because before he got killed, I didn't really think much about him. I think, oh, he's just another one of these conservative
Yeah.
influencers, like, and that's like Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, like, those
Yeah.
people who are just
Yeah.
everywhere. And then I look back at his work, and I do think there is something different. There was something different about him. He had more of like a sparkle in his eyes. He's a lot proclaims the gospel very overtly. And I think Turning Point USA, you go into it, he did have like, you get your breaks, don't you? I think he did have a donation, like 10 grand donation very early on, but still very impressive to build this structure. But looking back at the last year of his life, he did seem a lot more stressed. He did seem under a lot more pressure, a little bit of heaviness. Especially like there's an interview he did the day he died. But yeah, it'd just be interesting to think your thoughts on him as a person, but the structure he built, perhaps lessons that can be learned as well. Maybe if you think there's areas that he may have been compromised and ways to guard yourself about that. And because I do sort of see similarities between you and him. I actually do, in sort of, you've sort of built your own structure as well. Obviously you're Christian. But yeah, there's a lot there, but I suppose as we draw near to the end, yeah, just what are your general thoughts on that? And yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Um, you know, everybody's look at Charlie Kirk from a different lens.
Yeah.
And for Charlie Kirk, what he puts out there that we can say about him is that you have Charlie Kirk, you have Republican Party, and then you have Turning Point,
Yeah.
which is what he built, his own structure. So connecting with for there are a lot of people that say I love Charlie Kirk and all that, but I don't stand again with him on this and that. So what happened is that they're not able to separate all of this.
Mm.
They put everything together. Oh, that Republican, I hate him.
Mm.
If you're a Democrat, there's no way you're going to love him.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Like tribalism.
Yeah, you understand. If you it's a thing where like I said, sometimes we hold on to the structures that we are already familiar with. So for him, there was Charlie Kirk as a Christian. He was really profound on how he speaks the gospel and was really sound. And then there's a structure which is independent of him, Republican Party. The Republican Party have its own ideology. And for you to be a good Republican means that you have to be the best Republican campaigner,
Mm.
and the fact that he knows how to um, put out the gospel out there, all of those values and skills he got from there, he used that in Republican. At least maybe Republican was the party that he was able to navigate himself to, towards his own personal mission. Maybe I know if Charlie was still around in the next 10 years, it will be, something of significance in America. And then you have turning points.
Mm.
Turning point, which is more like the byproduct of like value in structure.
Mm.
Debating about wider topics. Going to universities and going to colleges and all of
Yeah.
that. So Charlie Kirk and Turning Points, the vision of Turning Point is actually an extension of Charlie Kirk's value.
Mm.
you know.
Yes.
So yes, they talk about different topics and everything, but what was it? Turning point, even with the name, is like, look, come here and
Yeah. Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the life from a different perspective, not from the structures that each of you guys in the crowd have aligned yourself with. I want you guys to be able to think, come outside and,
Outside the
make up
cave.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he was Republican.
Mm.
So what I would say we learn from this is that we should always recognize that for every structure that is out there that we align ourselves to, we should also try to align ourselves to the makers of the structure. And we should remember that, also ask ourselves that these structures that we're aligning ourselves with, is it still connected to the value that created that structure?
Yeah.
It's like now in the Western world now, when they say it's a Christian country, or it's a country that was built by Christian values. But what do we have? We have a lot of Christians, but the country is still going haywire. Why? It's not about the number of Christians. It's about we just being participants of the structure, but the structure itself are disconnected from the Christian values. So you now have the structure there, you have the values there. So you have more people just standing on the value, but not coming into the structure to improve it. Because they say that the structure is gone. But who is going to come if you don't say, here I am, Lord, send me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you will now have a separation of value here, structure here. The structure is, and then when the structure, because it has a Christian value, it's very heightened that it can accept a lot of things from everywhere. That's why you have other people still being able to come with that same structure and bring in a new kind of ideology.
Yeah.
Because the structure is, and the Christ structure is accepting to everything. So they're like, oh, and the UK, a lot of people are coming, they're immigrants, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the structure, the values that created this structure is inviting to everything.
Yes.
Sinners, saints, wherever.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's a good value system, But those with the value are not connecting to it. So going back to Charlie Kirk is now a thing of where he understands all of these things from what I see about him, and he wanted to make a change.
Yeah.
And the only way he could make a change is that he has to get involved in politics. And the only and obviously the party that seems to talk about enforcing values is the Republican. Call it Republican Party or conservative, and that was why he joined us. So he was careful, thoughtfully planned. But then the values of those in that party may not have the same values as him.
Yep.
So it will not be him just struggling, his inner world, his external world. And you see towards the end of his life, he was a bit stressed.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah. So that's just what happens. So now it's now about, if there was a way there was some other system he would have replaced with the Republican Party. But what structure is actually there?
Yeah. I think links on to, I think we're talking last month a little bit about the Knights of St Columba. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to talk much about them, but this kind of sort of follows on in some sense, because I think they're connected with the church or strongly affiliated.
Yeah.
But so maybe we could look a bit into that.
Yeah. Just talking about the new the perspective example I gave to you using the helium balloon. I mean the helium head.
Yes. Yeah.
Helium is a natural product. It's not produced by us. It's natural. It's something that's outside of us.
Yes.
So something inside of us have to leave for there's something new to come in. So when this new spirit came into me, and I was able to see the world more from a heightened perspective, and I'm eager to actually live out my faith. It's not whereby I'm living out my faith by creating a new structure or trying to, but it's whereby my hands, my legs, my actions
Mm.
actually manifest my values, the new values that God that I have within me. So unlike Charlie Kirk, where he was a um, registered, or what's the word now, identified with the Republican
Yeah.
Party. For me, the Knights of the Church is a pheno. It's like, I would say it's like the army of the church. It's like for I mean it's the bridge between the church and the world. You know,
Mm.
so it's helped me to actually, instead of me to find myself in a point whereby I'm just so consumed with what is inside of me, I don't know how to let it out.
Yeah.
It gives me that environment to actually let it out,
Mm.
and then it's inviting, it's accepting to what I want to express myself in.
Mm.
So I feel much safer being the whole of myself inside the church, and the church having environment for people like myself who wants to really just come out of the faith,
Yeah.
whereby it's like inside of me I'm screaming, I'm shouting, but it's not coming out from my
Mm.
my my external expression.
Yeah.
It's more about my actions, and those actions is needed in the nights.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm in the member of the Knights of St Columba, and it's huge. And then I then have my own side project, which is Centaville,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is like a spillover of, obviously I can't be all of myself in the nights, because the nights is following through the order of the church.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some part of me that still want to do more,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's where I then have Centaville,
Mm.
which it's going to now be a reflection of my value in fullness.
Mm. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
yeah, being productive, being effective
yeah,
in all remits of life.
yeah,
I like what you said. I think you mentioned about the church being like safe, a place of safety.
yeah,
It's interesting. So I was on the way here, actually, as you get these people on the side, like street preachers
yeah,
proclaim the gospel.
yeah,
Well, someone was actually saying something that actually caught my attention just as I was walking into the tube, and she's basically saying, about Noah's Ark,
yeah,
about how like once the door was closed, that was it, and I think
mhm,
that'll be like the end times.
yeah,
And so I think there might have been people who say Noah's Ark, like the church is like Noah's Ark, like
mhm,
that's the place of safety.
yeah,
If you're not in the ark, then you can't be saved in a sense. You'll drown. And it's like, yeah, church is like this place of safety, isn't it? It's a place of you can just if you ever get lost, it's a great way to sort of recalibrate the compass, isn't it?
yeah,
If you sort of need, or if you're tired, you need somewhere to rest, you need more nourishment. So it's like, so it's drawing near to the end, but what have I don't know if you've heard of Medjugorje.
yes, I do,
Yeah,
of course.
Medjugorje. Are you planning on going?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
something else.
So in fact, anyone watching this, I really recommend it. There's a priest there called Father Leon. There's a channel. He doesn't run it. Someone else does. Someone that puts his homilies as well as other really good ones. I think it's like Father Leon from Medjugorje, something like that. But yeah, he talks a lot about the five stones of Medjugorje. I think this is like and a call to conversion. I think it's because five. It's like there's a special number because David killed Goliath with five pebbles, and I think it's like rosary, mass, confession, fasting, and scripture.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you do those five consistently, I think it's impossible to be defeated in
Yeah,
life. I really do. Because like mass is like the source of some of the Christian life. Fasting, I think before the summer, because I went in the summer, I started to look a little bit more into fasting. And I must say, I think it's Wednesdays and Fridays. He recommends a water and bread fast. Haven't got there yet. I'm sort of trying to gradually get there. But yeah, disciplining the body, disciplining the flesh, it does sort of make you so much more sharper spiritually for sure. It's just like, it's incredible. Rosary, I think St. Padre Pio, the weapon, doesn't he? It's so powerful. I think it's capable of stopping wars. Been reading scripture a lot more as well. And what's the other one? Confession, which I do need to do more of. But I think to finish, there's just a couple minutes left. But um, when you're talking about from a heightened perspective,
yeah,
I think there's a verse, I think it's like Isaiah 41:30, something like that, about like soaring on eagle's wings
yeah,
and not fearing, not trembling, not growing weary, not tiring, something like that.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, it's like heightened perspective.
Yeah.
You can see more, you can go about more. But yeah, as we draw to a close, I know if there's anything you wanna sort of things what you're looking forward to the future and just, any projects, I don't know, like nearly end of it's nearly 2026, it's incredible how quickly it has gone. It's like, wow.
Yeah, before I even go on to that, I want to just talk about this heightened perspective you talk about. Um, you talked about the five stones, and a lot of people out there, maybe people listening, will be like, "Oh, doctrines, laws, faith alone brings you salvation." Yes, that is true. But when you look at it from an heightened perspective, faith alone, yes, salvation, but there's something about the nourishment of the spirit
Mm,
that's in us to continue to make our life not just as as speakers or just preachers and all of that, but actually living it, whereby our hands and our legs are actually doing the work, less of the words and more of the action. They say
mm,
action speaks louder than words. So for me, the highest points for me and the church is not even the mass, and it's the Eucharist. You see the
yeah,
prayer,
yeah, yeah,
the adoration.
100%.
You see, in when I
Mhm,
go for adoration, it's more like I bring everything that's happening within me there, and I like the silence there because it's like it's like God, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, which is within me, which Christ has given to us, is like for me to nourish it and all of that, I need to remove all of the worldly identities that are inside of
mm,
me as well. And I'm able to do that perfectly during adoration. It opens a door for all of that to go out. And then it brings this new spirit where I come out. No one is talking to me, but just with faith and believe that that is Jesus Christ right there that I'm looking at, talking
mm,
to. And inside me, it's so much like screaming and everything, but outside of me, it's more like, now I know what to do. Sometimes I go
yes,
for adoration with my pen and a book. I have no idea what I want to do or my project. Like, what do I, next step I take? I just go for adoration pen and believe me, I come out with a lot of things written. I
yeah,
don't know how that happens, but I think that is the highest point of my faith. And
yeah.
yeah, I hope that a lot of people get to find out because when you come for adoration, there are very few people there.
Yeah, yeah, and, I think just to fix it I've run out of time, but
Yeah,
you saying that just something came to me. This verse came to me on Easter Vigil.
yeah,
It's from Exodus 14 when the Israelites have escaped Egypt. They come to the Red Sea,
mhm,
and there's a scene in front of them. Then they turn around. They got the Egyptians charging, ready to slaughter them, and they're like, "What do we do? Where do we go?" And Exodus 14:14, I think Moses says something like this. Um, just be silent, silent, the Lord will fight for you, something like that.
yeah,
And it's like, all we have to do is, or it was something like, or have faith in God and be silent, the Lord
yeah,
will fight for you, something like that. And it's like, sometimes just talking can undo,
yeah,
like, can put us as, yeah, here I am, Lord, silence,
yeah,
send me, the Lord will fight for you. And it's like you just need to give your little bit. But yeah, run out of time. But honestly, Vincent, this has been incredible. Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you.
I think yeah, definitely learnt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd probably call this value and structure, this episode, but episode 22 is a wrap. Thank you.